Hello, hello. It is I, your mama. I'm just playing, ain't your mama. I am Mama Neptune, but I ain't your mama. Okay, but I can help you get in tune. That's gonna be my new slogan. I'm just playing, I don't know. Anyway, I'm on my Gemini shit today, okay? I'm gonna be real, bouncing off the walls. I'm gonna be real extra. I'm gonna take y'all into my world because I'm a Gemini moon. Okay, so we're gonna continue our How the Signs Have Sex series, and we're gonna talk about motherfucking Gemini, okay? Yeah, Gemini. All right. Let's talk about the psychology of Gemini a little bit. Gemini, they are ruled by Mercury, okay? So they're very cerebral, they're very mental. You know, they're in their head a lot, okay? It's a mutable sign, meaning that's two sides to the sign, right? So that's why they're the twins, right? Then it's an air sign, so it represents thought. Okay, so it represents thought. They're in their head, and there's two sides to them. That automatically sets somebody up to be kind of crazy, right? Now, granted, I'm not gonna sit up there and bash no Geminis in this video because I actually fuck with y'all, but I'm gonna tell the truth about y'all, and y'all be getting yourselves into some shit, right? Because y'all don't always be trying to tell everybody the truth about what you be doing. All right. So that's going to be a problem. All right. So Gemini, Gemini suns, moons, I'm a Gemini moon, Venus and Mars. All right. All we really want is to have our little heads stimulated, okay? And mind you, I'm going to tell you about why Gemini is what it is. I personally think Gemini energy and the thirst and the quest that they're on for cerebral stimulation is on par with why people do drugs, okay? What? Why did I say that? Huh? Did I call Geminis drug addicts? No, I didn't. But there is a similarity to the way that a Gemini will seek out cerebral stimulation and get that high off of that human contact, that mental contact, that experience of the senses, the sensory overload that they're looking for, and how a drug user chases the dragon, and how they're trying to have their catch those endorphins that are getting released, or get the dopamine levels to explode with the way that they did the first time that they hit that drug. Gemini is going to do that because, again, this is the energy of what Mercury is, okay? Mercury is a very fast moving planet. So Gemini by nature is very impatient. Gemini by nature is instant gratification. All right. That's just the energy, okay? Because Mercury moves around the sun in 88 days. So a year of Mercury is like almost 4 times, is about 4 times and some change more fast on Mercury than it is on Earth. Okay. Now, Gemini inherently doesn't know what it wants. Okay. Unless it got some fixed shit, then people who have a lot of Gemini energy are unstable. And they're not meant to be stable because it's air and it's mutable. Air in itself is not a stable element. Neither is water. But air itself is meant to be open and free and not contained. Then when you start to add things like mutable energy, which means that it's split into two different energies in one body, it's going to have a hard time grounding itself. It probably never will in some cases. Gemini is going to be eternally youthful because it's ruled by the third house, which is very early on. Like the first three houses of your chart really represents like your early childhood. Like it's more so like where you grew up around and like your earliest memories for real. Whereas your fourth house is more so your more cognitive memories and how you were brought up and how you remember your mom to be and the way that you project her to be before then. These Gemini energy, the third house, is all the things that made up your surrounding area. So your neighborhood, your neighbors, your cousins, people like that. So Gemini is always taking in energy. It's always taking in information. Okay. Stay hydrated. But anyway, yeah. Gemini is always taking in information. They're always processing data. Okay. And the way that Gemini can process data is you can't focus too much on it, on one particular thing. When you're always scanning, when you're always, observing, you're not really going to go into depth on any of the stuff that you're taking in. So Gemini is in and of itself is going to be very superficial because it doesn't start to get depth. Mercury doesn't get depth until it hits Virgo, where it starts to analyze things and it starts to break things down and realize the imperfections of it. Gemini is not doing that. Gemini is taking information in, taking what it wants from that information and moving forward. So Gemini is always processing new things because it's never taking in anything long enough and deep enough to take up a large amount of space. Okay. Gemini energy. Gemini is really going to tell you about, they like to communicate, they're very social. It's still on the side of we're still going to consider Gemini to be a selfish sign because the first three signs are meant to be what makes up your identity, which makes up the building blocks of you. So it's really, Gemini really is here to learn about itself and learn as much as it can in this particular lifetime. You are really just here to enhance the Gemini experience, and you are here to help exercise these enhanced muscles that they have in their mind. Okay. Now, Gemini is also extremely talented when it comes to its words and really anything that has to do with its hands, because how are you going to learn something without getting your hands involved? Gemini energy is very kinesthetic. Gemini is a very hands-on learner. Okay. And this is the same to be true when we're talking about being in bed. Okay. A Gemini needs to learn you by experiencing you. They need to learn you by trying. Okay. It is one of the most sexual signs of the zodiac. And it's because of that mental stimulation. Mercury energy is pretty androgynous. It's not really necessarily male nor female, but it also it rules the number 5 in numerology, And 5 is one of the karmic debts when it's reduced. So what I mean by that is that there's karmic debt 13, 14, 16, and 19. And 14, the karmic debt 14 reduces to a 5. And so that energy of 1 and 4, which would be the sun and Uranus, and not really necessarily knowing what to expect, it's very unpredictable. When that energy is brought into the energy of Mercury, that's really what it is. It's like a very enhanced, heightened energy that it is very explosive, okay? And it's very volatile. Gemini energy is it's a high. I'm trying to remember if I said that at the beginning of this video or not. I probably did. But if I didn't, Gemini chases a mental high from experiencing things, just like a person who does drugs will experience trying to go and get the same high, the same feeling of endorphins being released or dopamine being released when they hit that goddamn pookie, all right? So, because 14 in numerology, which would be 5, which would be Mercury, which would be Gemini, they always overindulge. They overdrink. They have too much sex. They have too much drugs. They have too much alcohol. And they have to learn how to overcome those vices in life, and they have to learn how to take things in moderation and not overdo it. Okay? So Gemini has a tendency to want to overdo things. It's like a natural ability for it to take something and want to keep experiencing something over and over again because of the way that it makes it feel until it no longer makes you feel that way. Then Gemini is going to try to chase a different high. Okay. Anyway, Gemini in bed. Okay. The sun in Gemini, it really honestly can really change a lot by how they have other placements in their chart, because you got to consider how Gemini is 2 sides to itself, okay, and it's mutable, and so it can be very adaptive to the energies around it. It really does take things in. And so when a person has a lot of Gemini in their chart, especially in the sun placement, you want to see where is Mercury actually at. This would be the first time I would bring in Mercury and where Mercury's at, you know, what house is ruled by Mercury, or what houses I should say, what aspects are being made to Mercury, because that's going to give you a very strong flavor of how they're going to go about their sexual style. Because, you know, there's really no 2 Geminis are alike, because you got to look at their astrology and see what the fuck you're going to get from this. Okay. But let's move to the moon. Okay. Moon in Gemini. Hello, hi, I'm a moon in Gemini. It's me. It is I. I like to do a lot of things. My mind moves so fast and I forget what I'm saying sometimes. Okay, I'm a reader, so granted I could take in a lot of information, I could process really fast. But then at the same time, if you ask me that shit again about 5 days later, I'm not gonna remember none of the shit I done told you, because you should have been paying attention when I said it. Okay. It's too much shit. I see too much shit. I go through too much shit. I experience too much shit for me to remember every single detail. Even though I have Mars in Virgo, I can remember a lot of shit. My moon in Gemini ain't trying to hold on to it, all right? I'm just saying. But yeah, it's moon in Gemini, people. You know, we get a lot of bad raps. Us Geminis, moon, sun, Venus, Mars. We get called cheaters, okay? Okay, and I'm a Venus in Sagittarius, the moon in Gemini. Now people would think I'm a cheater just based off those two placements alone, okay? But I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna flex, okay? A Gemini is not necessarily cheating because of you. They're cheating because they're not necessarily meant to be bogged down and tied to you. They're really meant to experience a lot of shit, and they really want to learn a lot from a lot of people, as much as they can from as many people. And Gemini finds itself, because it's mutable, trying to conform to what everybody else wants it to be. Okay? Gemini is gossipy. They're always taking in information and they're sharing out information, whether that's, you know, your business, your grandma's business, your dog has some kids, some puppies, and you know, the dog daddy is this little dog that from the people down the street around the corner, and you know, that auntie, she got a car that broke down on the side of the road. A AAA had came over to help her out, but then she started talking to the nigga with the AAA, and you know, now she got 4 kids by that nigga, and one of them kids actually was across the street at the dairy, and I saw them, and they say hi. You see what Gemini does? That's what Gemini does. Gemini goes down a fucking tangent, goes down a rabbit hole. All right? That's what we do. And it's really because it's like we have so much going on that we're a lot. You know, we are a lot, and we really want to connect with other people. And it's like we're constantly misunderstood, and we always get a bad rap. And this world does not really appreciate the energy of Gemini because it's one of the most hated signs. And it's like this world don't really appreciate them because they don't understand duality. They don't understand being on that level of a mental ability. A lot of gifted people are always going to be misunderstood. And Gemini in and of itself is going to be gifted when it comes to communicating, comes to thinking, comes to writing, comes to anything dealing with the hands. So when a Gemini is cheating on you, it's not because of you per se. It could be because of you, but it's not because of you per se. It's because they need to experience this world. They chose to come into this world to have the curiosity of a child forever in their life. And they allow society's influence to get down on them. Okay? Because like I said, Gemini is about gossip. And yes, they can go down a rabbit hole. But at the same time, just like they are a part of gossip and they're always hearing business and they can always share with you and they always know everybody's business, that's the same for them. You know, they hear their business come back to them too. Just like they're sharing their business, they hear their business come back. They know that they're hearing this business about everybody. Then there's a part of them that feels like they have to live life right, you know, because again, Gemini and Virgo both share Mercury, you know, so even though Gemini may not seem to have a lot of profound thoughts, it does have these thoughts. It may not last, it may not be something that they harp on for a long time, but they do have these thoughts. And a lot of Geminis will settle down because that's what society tells them that's what they should do, or you know, that's what they feel pressured and obligated into doing. And because it's a mutable sign, it doesn't really have the backbone to stand firm in itself to be able to say, I'm a polyamorous person. I'm polygamous. I'm polyandrous, you know. I'm not wanting to have kids. I'm not wanting to settle down. I don't want to get married. They don't know how to do that. A lot of them don't anyway. And mind you, you have to always consider that Gemini also has a lot of anxious energy because it comes from Mercury. You know, Mercury is extremely fast moving. And so the energy of a Gemini is that being stuck somewhere and not and staying stationary, it makes them anxious because their natural inclination is to always be going around, talking in circles, moving around, constantly getting that energy because they're given a surplus of energy in this lifetime, to where when they settle down, they could feel anxious. They could feel outside of themselves, you know. Anyway, a Gemini moon person, if they do cheat on you, it's mainly because they want the mental stimulation. Maybe it's, you know, you're not giving them enough time to talk your ear off. Maybe they're trying to save you from them. Maybe they have a lot of things that they want to talk about and they don't want to bother you. Maybe they want to share their thoughts with somebody, or especially like a person who has moon in Gemini, and their moon makes an aspect to their Venus or to their Mercury or something. These people are going to want to share their thoughts with you, you know, as they come. And if you're not a person that's 24/7 willing to hear what the Gemini has to say, the Gemini will find somebody that will listen. And again, it's not necessarily anything to do with you, because they may still want to deal with you, but they will deal with you and somebody else who can give them the attention that they need, because Gemini is a very attention needing sign. It is what it is. That's why it created two versions of itself, because it can't really be alone. Gemini Venus, if they're under 30 something and they have a Gemini Venus, it's really hard for you to even ask them to commit to you. It's going to be very hard unless they got a lot of Scorpio or 8th house, 4th house, some Cancer in that shit. You know what I'm saying? Maybe their Mars is like retrograde, or, you know, in a more like stable sign that really don't like to get down like that, you know. It's going to be really hard for Venus in Gemini to settle down. And if they do settle down, it's going to be hard for them to stay put. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard because they're going to feel like they had to give up their youth. They're going to feel like they had to give up things in order to be with you. Gemini has to experience things. Gemini has to sow its wild oats, just like Sagittarius does. Okay. But yeah, Gemini Venus is so interesting because it's like they could date a few people at a time, or they could, you know, be really attracted to somebody that could give them a lot of like mental stimulation. But again, most of the time they're going to date the few people because that one person generally doesn't exist, or that's a lot of pressure to put on one person. And so the Gemini likes to have a variety of people because they don't necessarily like things to get too heavy relationship wise, you know. These people, when it comes to being in bed, they love to talk. They love foreplay. You're dealing with a Gemini Venus or a Gemini Mars, or even a Gemini Moon or Sun. I guess Sun too. Send them some nasty ass text messages. Send them some fucking pictures of you in some like lingerie, but don't show all of everything. Just show them a silhouette, or you know, do something that's gonna tease them. You know, they love that. Again, mind you, these are people who share a similar mindset to mental stimulation as drug addicts do to highs. Okay, so if you tease them, that's gonna really like rope them in. Gemini loves to talk, so they want you to express and speak, say what's on your mind. Express like those dirty thoughts, those dirty things that are running through your head, because they really want to know. It really will help them to enhance their experience. They, reading like novels with a bunch of adult content in it, that's gonna really, really get a Gemini going. They love that shit. They love visuals with words. They love to see things, and they are sensual in the sense that, whereas Taurus needs things to be in the physical, if you can paint the picture in their head, oh, it's a wrap. Because Gemini lives in their head, So if you can make their head a paradise, man, they're going to want you. They want you bad. They want you forever. So you have to really understand that, okay? Another thing that's really cool about Gemini, again, Gemini and Mars is cheaters. I'm sorry. Gemini and Mars is cheaters. They almost always have somebody else that they fucking. And if they're not, I'm sorry, I ain't met one yet. Now, granted, if you are Gemini Mars and you were faithful, comment below. Just tell me your aspects. Do you have any squares in your Mars, or is your Mars opposite Saturn? Because that might give you some impotence. Is your Mars conjunct Saturn? Is it where is that shit at? Is your Mars in the 12th house? What's going on? Tell me. Tell me about how that works. Tell me about how you don't do it or whatever. I need to know, okay? Because again, I love to learn more. I'm a Gemini moon. And from my experience, motherfuckers with Gemini Mars, Tristan Thompson, is cheaters. Motherfucking people with Gemini Venus, Chrissy Danielle from Damo and Chrissy, is cheaters. They cheaters. That's what they do. That's how they roll. And it's not because of you. It's because of them. And that's how they are. Now, they want to get a lot. They're very horny. They have a lot of energy. They want to feel things, because they're sensory overload, okay? They want to feel the mental gasms by way of what their body does. It's very powerful for them mentally to get this stuff, to connect with somebody and to have them make you feel good. Okay? Especially if they can talk to you, especially if they can communicate this to you and they can tell you how bad they want you and how you're dirty and nasty, then yeah, Gemini loves that shit, okay? And that's just the truth. I'm sorry for telling everybody that Geminis are cheaters, okay? I'm not saying that you're a cheater, but it's really going to be hard for somebody to pin a relationship on you. It just is. It just is, I can tell you that it's really hard to see a person with a lot of Gemini in their chart not swing out the relationship. Y'all may be better with open relationships. Y'all may be better being polyamorous. And I'm polyamorous. I'm polyamorous, okay? Gemini, Moon, Venus, and Sagittarius, I'm polyamorous, okay? I'm telling you that's the best solution for me, okay? It is the truth. And that's how I love. I love different people, and doesn't change how I feel about you individually, because we have our deep bond, we have our deep connection, but at the same damn time, I love him too. As long as you can really connect with the mind of a Gemini and they feel like they can learn from you and they feel like you're not boring them and they feel like you have a good variety to yourself and you're multifaceted and you have different dimensions to who you are and there's always more to learn and explore about you, then they're going to want to be with you, and they're going to be with you more long term. But you have to keep the variety going. Gemini needs variety. They need to feel like all bases are being hit. It's the truth. It doesn't matter what anybody has to say. It is the truth. Okay? I don't care what nobody's saying, especially if they're having issues like Mars and Jupiter, or if they're having Venus and Jupiter with Gemini. Oh, God. That's some fucking shit right there. Okay? Because my Venus is conjunct Jupiter. Okay? And that's in Sag. My Jupiter and my Mars make a square to each other. Like, I have a very large, I'm very driven mentally, physically, sexually. And truth is, there really has not been one person that can keep up with me. There hasn't. And that is my truth. That's what I've experienced. And I need a good amount of variety in my life. Okay. I can tell you that from a person that is openly polyamorous, and my partners are aware of that's just how it works. For me, that's the kind of lifestyle I chose when I incarnated into this body. And I could tell a lot of people who are very, very Gemini-like and who have a lot of Mercury or Jupiter energy going on, they're that way too. But again, they're more apt to following what society tells them that they must do. But with me being an Aquarius rising, Mercury and Aquarius, Mercury conjunct the ascendant, I'm not going to sit up there and just listen to what the fuck these people trying to tell me. You know, my chart ruler is conjunct my sun. Like, I am very much my own individual person. Okay. And that just works for me. But yeah, Gemini. Sorry for calling y'all cheaters. You know, maybe you're not cheating, but you damn sure ain't gonna wait. You know what I'm saying? You ain't a person you break up with somebody and you wait 6 months to move on. You moving on in a few hours. You're gonna go home and change your clothes and go out and get some new dick or some new coochie. That's just what you're gonna do. All right? Well, let's not lie. Let's cut the bullshit. We grown over here. This is what we doing. This is how we are. It is what it is. Gemini, if your sex is boring, then the Gemini is not going to be mentally engaged with you. They're not. If a Gemini is mentally engaged with you, they're talking to you, they're communicating with you, they're making you feel as though they're present and they're sharing that experience with you, then you're having a good time with that Gemini. But if it's getting to be routine, that Gemini will be bored and they will be thinking about other stuff, doing other shit, and that's just the truth. Gemini don't like routine. Gemini is the antithesis of routine, okay? Virgo's about routine, and so is Taurus. Gemini's not that shit. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. If you have anything you want to add, then I'm gonna tell you go ahead and do it. But yeah, Gemini, very sexual. They always trying to do some shit. They always trying to get into some shit, but they ain't really trying to be loyal because they don't want to be bogged down because they're air and they're mutable. And yeah, they may let society bully them into doing some shit that they don't really want to do, which is why they wind up cheating in the first place, because they should have never settled down. They should have never committed to your ass because you didn't give them enough stimulation. But again, they did what they thought they were supposed to do. Now they out here sneaking, creeping, and freaking on the low. All right? It is what it is. Bye.